Hi, everyone. So we made it through that first week. That was a lot of stuff. And even if you haven't quite finished yet, don't panic. You can still get stuff turned in, even if it's a little bit late. There's a note at the top of Moodle that I just put up there that talks about kind of my philosophy about getting things done. So take a minute and read that and contact me if you feel like you need a little extra help or a little extra time. I want to jump into what we're going to be doing this week and show you some practical things about how to manage Discord, go over a couple of the topics that we're going to do, and let you know about the reliable sources, like how that's going to proceed. So why don't we start there first? Now, keep in mind, there's about 45 of you and there's one of me, okay? So Monday morning, typically I spend time getting the class up and running, and then I turn towards grading and responding. Now, I've been trying to respond to the logging in posts or questions as they come in, but a whole bunch came in last night. So I'll be getting to those as the day goes on. I try to respond to whatever questions get posted to me on Discord as quickly as possible. So things like that take priority. Although when I get into a real grading grind, I usually turn Discord off because I want to be able to focus and get good feedback out to you sooner than later. On the topic selections, if it was submitted, I'm going through, I'm making comments, and I will be sending you a message on your Discord notes channel with your topic based off of the ones that you selected or the ones that you submitted. You can move ahead with the Reliable Sources project, at least parts of it, without having to know what your topic is, because the very first thing that you'll be doing this week on Reliable Sources, when you look for that area or when you look at that, is section 2 and 3. And part 2 and 3. Part 2 is developing evaluation criteria. There's a whole video connected to that, so I won't go into too much depth other than to say, when you look at something, how do you know it's true? That's kind of our theme this week, is digital discernment. So when you look at something, how do you know it's true? So you'll come up with a list of criteria. You'll need that criteria to complete part 3. And part 3 is just going to ask you to pick a list of resources that you can do a basic evaluation on, not an in-depth one, a basic one. And again, there's a video that goes along with that. So you should watch those 2 Reliable Sources videos to understand, but you can definitely get started on the evaluation criteria part before you have your topic back. You want your topic back, however, to do the resource selection piece. And I've had a few people ask me, can you move ahead? You guys have the schedule. The schedule's got everything linked up as much as possible. So you can definitely, there's some places to move ahead. The textbook chapter quizzes are all available. That's someplace you can move ahead. So if you feel like you've gotten done for the week and everything's submitted and you're ready to go, jump into those, get those done. I'm only going to count, there's 11 quizzes altogether. I'm only going to count 7 of those. So there's a little bit of wiggle room if you run out of time to skip a few quizzes, but I wouldn't make that your first strategy. Your first strategy should be get them all done as much as possible, because then you've got some wiggle room later on. So why don't we jump into a couple of things that I want to share with you. We'll jump over to Moodle. I'll talk about what we're going to do there, and then we'll go to Discord, and then we'll wrap it up. So hopefully this won't take too long. So when you're in Moodle, you'll see a new tile open now for week 2, and it'll say start here. And this video that you're watching will be in this section of the start here. It's not there now because I'm making it right now. You'll see a link for Zoom discussions. I've got a discussion set up for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Those were a ton of fun last week. We had a really good time, I think. Like, I had a good time getting to know everybody. And this week, we're going to hit on some fake news topics. We're going to look at some reliable sources, practical things around that evaluation criteria. So all sorts of good things will come up if you can make one of those sessions. The slides will be posted here once they're available. Coming down, we're going to look at building our network. And so this thing under think is actually a think and do, and it's about issues in social media, where I have a link to TED Talks about social media. And if you haven't watched TED Talks, you're going to get a lot of those because they're really good. They're in-depth thinking about different subjects. And so the assignment asks you to watch 2 videos, and you're going to write up something about those and share those to your team channel in Discord. And we'll get to the team channels in just a minute. Always look at these resources because these 2, well, especially this LinkedIn for Students, I added it to the Build a LinkedIn Network piece down here. It's a really good resource. And let me click on this Build a LinkedIn Network and explain what this is all about. So last week, almost everybody created a LinkedIn account, which is really good. And you started adding people. And I got quite a few comments from people saying, well, I don't really know anybody. I don't have anybody to recommend me. That's okay. We're going to keep building this as we go along, and hopefully you'll find some good tools and strategies. So there's 2 parts here. Everybody was supposed to post their link to the team channel. And what I'd like you to do is go back and edit your post and start it with LinkedIn account. Start it with that tag in bold. That'll make it super easy for people to find your post about that, okay? So if we use these tags, and there's a resource there on hashtags actually in the Learn section. It's that same idea. It makes it really easy to search for things if you use the tags. So you can just scan down, see that that's what the post is about. Don't make people try to guess. Anyhow, so go back. You can always edit, hover over your post, look for a little pencil icon, click that, edit away. So once that's done, if you're sure that's done, first thing you're going to do is read that LinkedIn for Students file. It's not very long, but it's got some really good strategies for building networks. Second thing you're going to do is on your Discord team group, find your team members' LinkedIn posts and then go connect with them. And what I'd like you to do is, based on that LinkedIn profile checklist PDF that was on the assignment last week, based on that, kind of look that over, look at their page, their profile page, and let's give them some really good feedback, constructive feedback. So stuff that's useful. Don't just say, wow, your page looks really dumb. That's not very useful. And it's not very nice, to be honest. If you find a problem or an area where you feel like they can improve, not only point that out, but offer a suggestion for how to do it. That makes it super useful because you want that kind of feedback also. You want to make the strongest profile you can to make the best impression that you can, especially on LinkedIn. And so you'll do that. So you're going to look for on that post where they had their link. If they don't have a thread already started, go ahead and start a thread for feedback and just type in whatever you're going to type in. So give them some good feedback. Tell them a couple of things they can improve. Tell them something you really like. It doesn't have to be long, just a couple of short, sweet things. So you're going to connect and give feedback. And then you're going to start building out your network a little more. So you want to keep looking for people. You want to try to get at least 10 connections and 2 recommendations, probably by about week 5 of the class. So keep looking for that. As you build connections, it'll start showing you who they're connected to, and you might find people. And if it's not somebody you directly know, what I recommend is including a note with the connection request. Say here, here's who I am and here's why I'd like to connect with you. I think it only gives you, I want to say like 250 characters. It's really short, so you can't write a whole bunch, but it doesn't have to be. It's just short and sweet. So anyhow, so you're going to keep building that part out, but I actually specifically would like you to look for organizations that have to do with technology and see if you can find at least 3 to follow. So I did a quick search for NASA because I love space tech. NASA's social media is phenomenal. Like every Mars rover, this Webb satellite or Webb telescope that just went up, like they all have their own social media accounts, and the people that run them are really usually pretty funny and really informative. So I could easily find a couple in NASA, but I just went to LinkedIn, did a search for, space technology, and NASA came up. So do a little hunting around, search on LinkedIn itself, maybe go to Google and say, I don't know, alternative energy technology on LinkedIn. See what comes up. You'll probably have some lists of things. Whichever way you do it, add 3 at least this week. And then the last part is you're going to create a post on your team channel. Now remember, there's only 7 or 8 people on your team channel, so there shouldn't be a ton of traffic. On your team channel, use that tag LinkedIn Network and share the 3 you found and why you added them. And once everybody's got those, then you can look over what everybody else added, and you might find a couple that you find interesting and useful to add as well. So that's the building your network part of this week. I'm definitely hands-on, definitely just jump in there and give it a try. So we've got the issues in social media piece, we've got the build a LinkedIn network piece. Now coming down here to fake news, I've got a couple of videos here that I've made about fake news that actually give concrete examples and show some things you can do and contrast how people respond. And what is fake news all about anyhow? So watch those for sure. There's a couple of TED Talks here specifically on this topic. Like, how can we help transform the internet into a place of trust? Because nobody believes what, well, either nobody believes what they see or they believe everything they see. And really, there's a happy medium in there somewhere. And again, because we're talking about networks, I've got a couple of videos I made on the internet, the World Wide Web, and email. So even if you think you know a lot about it, I've got some good info for you in there. Like on email, did you know it's sort of like Star Trek in the post office? Well, if you watch the video, I'll tell you how. Keep in mind that GCF tutorials are not required. Like, they are just supplemental information, really good information, but if you feel like you need a little extra help on something, scan the outline, see what's included, and go through the tutorial if you feel like it's helpful, but it's not required reading. Coming down, we've got a game called Spot the Troll. So once you've input some information about how to tell whether it's fake news or not fake news, play the game, see what happens. Now, our final part here under reliable sources, crash course videos are really good. I like them because they're 10 to 12 minutes. They're not really long. They pack in a lot of good information. They give concrete examples, and they're pretty dynamic. So because we're kind of discerning information this week, this is a really good video. Who can you trust? It's part of a larger playlist. There's about 10 videos on the playlist, and I include the link to that as well. But this particular video has to do with evaluating sources. So I highly recommend that you watch that. This link from Cornell University, we're going to use this link as a benchmark for lots of things. So you'll see this in the evaluation criteria and in the resource selection assignments, a reference to this. It's really easy to read, but it kind of gives you, again, some concrete examples, like how do you know if a certain publication is an academic source versus, I don't know, like a gossip source or a non-news related source. Gives you some concrete things you can do. Down here in the wrap up, the issues in social media is going to take place of the takeaway this week. And there'll be another logging out journal that will be just between you and I. And so don't fill it out yet. Don't even fill it out till Friday. Just wait until Friday. So while I'm in here, let me jump over to the syllabus, because I had a couple people say, well, I don't get how this all relates. How does this relate to the class? Well, let's just go over the course learning outcomes briefly, and then I think you'll see how it definitely relates to the class. So at the end of the class, this is what you're supposed to walk away with. You're supposed to be able to demonstrate the ability to use common software to solve current problems, like, say, word processing software, or spreadsheet software, or presentation software. We're going to hit all 3 of those. Demonstrate the ability to manage file systems. So, for example, creating a jump menu that connects all of your files on a certain project. And then demonstrate the ability to research and analyze using modern computer resources like the internet, like social media, like search engines. So as you can see, a lot of these things we're doing are hitting all of these in different places, plus giving you some concrete skills that you can use as you move forward into looking for different things. So I'm going to change sharing here. I'm going to jump over to Discord. Let me show you something on your team channel. So on your team channel, there's a channel for every team. You're probably only going to see your team. So keep in mind, I'm an admin, so I see everything. I see more than everything. So what I'd like you to do this week, well, I'm picking on Team Hedy Lamar because actually they did a really good job for the most part, like week 1 takeaways, using those tags and formatting things so they're really easy to read. And a bunch of you guys did put LinkedIn URL, which was really good because I hadn't actually specified anything. But if you don't mind editing your post and sticking that at the beginning, then that makes it really easy to scan down, as you can see, to scan down. So I'll give you one more assignment here in Discord. It's not like an official assignment, but it's a getting to know the people on your team assignment. So I just about lost my computer there. So you'll see your team list over here, and you'll see who's online, who's offline. What I'd like you to do is go find those people on the introductions channel, if you can, if they posted. So look at your team list, go find them on here, and then find their thread and send them a message, like watch their video and send them a message. And even if, like right here, I'll show the active threads, but let me go up because there's like, it says this thread is archived. That doesn't matter. You just click on it and you can still write a message to somebody on an archived thread. That'll just unarchive it. So find your people, look on your list, find your people, go over to introductions and see what you can find. See if you can watch their video, make a couple of comments, get to know them. Like you can watch other videos too, but there's a lot of videos. So just watch the 7 or 8 or 6, however many there are to watch in your group. So I think that's about it. Again, we have a lot to do, but it's winter time, so we all signed up for this. Take it one piece at a time. Check off the things you can do. Look early in the week. A couple of people said, gosh, I wish I would have looked on Monday or Tuesday. I waited till Friday and then I got clobbered. Well, that's true. That's what's going to happen. So just look as early as you can. Just get an overview, jump in, learn lots, be curious, ask questions. You know where to find me. So I'm looking forward to Zoom this week.